Hello and welcome to episode 60 of the Wrist Cheese Radio podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Brodinky, and with me is my co-host, Schmidt, in your home for horological hot takes, taboo topics, and often unpopular watch opinions. Schmitty, what is going on, bro?
What's good, my friend? Everything's going well. How are you doing?
Oh, I am exhausted. It's the end of my year. Everything's kind of getting crammed in the last minute, like it is for most people. I feel like who are in the Q4 mindset type deal. A little
Yep.
different for me, but same idea. Everybody's
Oh yeah.
exhausted.
Oh yeah.
Holidays are coming up. Trying to finish the shopping, trying to set the menus for the holidays. It's a big cluster, but I'm managing. I've been a little bit exhausted. The kids have been on and off sick back at each one. I feel like they alternate. They just get sick every other week. And so one of them's sleeping, one of them's not. And like it's just been like a super drain on me. I haven't
Oh
felt
yeah. Oh
very
yeah.
very like present of mind. I haven't had a lot of inspiration lately. I know you probably have seen I haven't really posted too much lately. It's just not there at the moment. I feel like my mind's just in a lot of places, and I don't like to put out subpar content. Like I don't like to put up things for the sake of putting them up. So
No, man, you can't
every
release
once in a
everything half
while,
baked.
take a little mental break, recharge the battery, come back, swinging again. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. How are things over by you?
Oh, similar thing. Both my kids are eagerly awaiting Santa's visit on the night of the 24th, going into the 25th. Everything's full go over here, full send. So we're excited, but a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things with the holidays, parties, trying to figure things out, and some travel is coming up soon for me as well. But all good things. Nothing too bad. Nothing too bad.
Very good. This is a rare occasion where I don't really have any housekeeping for an episode, which is kind of strange. I usually have some little fun tidbit or something going on, but not too much end of the year. I think everybody's kind of wrapped up in their own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna jump right into new releases. We'll go first with the Zodiac and Hodinky collab featuring the Pan Am branding. I'm astonished this one is still available. A, because it's only 182 pieces, and B, because I feel like I thought the Pan Am branding was kind of like a darling thing in the watch world. So I thought this would have sold out. It's pretty reasonably priced. I think it's like 1,800 bucks around.
Yeah, it
As
looks like
far
1795, I
as
think.
far as Hodinky collabs go, that is cheap from where I am.
Very, very
I mean,
reasonable.
unless it's a Timex or something, that's a pretty cheap collab.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised this one's still here, especially because it's a pretty decent looking watch. I really dig the shade of blue. I like the layout. I like the all the other sort of Zodiac World Timer looking watches that they've put out, and they're in a good size at 40 millimeters. I don't know. I don't know what the aversion is because you can still add it to the bag. I checked before the show just to make sure it wasn't a glitch, but
Yeah.
they're still up there. I mean, if I was in the market for something like this, I would snag one of these in a minute. I think I have my Zodiac experience from earlier in the year that I really enjoyed, and I think this one kind of fits the same mold. I really don't find anything egregious about the watch. I like it. I like the Pan Am branding. You get a cool little package. I don't know if you saw. So you get a box. You get a cool black NATO with a Pan Am patch on it,
Okay.
and then a little wiping cloth and a little neat little Zodiac Pan Am double branded map, like world traveling map. Because obviously,
Oh,
for
that's cool.
for those who don't know, Pan Am was once like the name in international travel.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this was
Absolutely.
this was a very big deal at one point.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're long gone. But I think the interesting aspect of this watch, I like it. And like you said, I love the shade of blue. It's a very vibrant blue. It certainly is like one of the very cool colors in the watch industry. And as everybody knows, this is kind of the company that originally inspired the development of the Pepsi GMT Master from Rolex. So Pan Am's the company that did that. So it's kind of cool to see Zodiac take a swing at the GMT, especially from Pan Am. You get the like you said, you get the patch, you get the NATO, you get the wiping cloth with the GMT map. I think it's very cool. I like this watch a lot. My only criticism, and what kind of I told talked to you about off air, is my only criticism of this watch is the fact that for me, I find it somewhat odd that the dial has a double Pan Am branding on the logo. So you kind of have this ghosted motif of the Pan Am logo. There's no wording on it that kind of surrounds the internal portion of the dial. And then, of course, at the bottom at 6 o'clock, you have the smaller blue corporate Pan Am logo that everyone really, really knows.
Right.
For me, that's the only thing that's kind of odd, just because I see both of them together and it's a little visually distracting. But I think the motif internally is light enough that it could disappear in certain lighting conditions. Because even like in some of the stock photos on the Houdinki like website, I don't see it. But on the actual photo of the watch, the kind of enhanced digital rendering of it, I do see it. Obviously, they want you to see it. So I don't know. I think that's the only thing that I don't like about it. But everything else to me looks very cool. It's a classic, Zodiac GMT. They sell a lot of these. I know you have one. Um, it's a very, very nice watch.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything really too much to knock about it. I'm a little puzzled. I don't really know why they haven't sold out, but they haven't. So if this is your bag, get on that.
I mean, the only other thing that I could think is maybe it was overshadowed by the next drop that we're going to talk about.
It could be. It could be. I've got three more in the till here. So we'll roll on to my next one I have here is Oris and Fratello dropped a Diver 65
Mm-hmm.
limited, 300 pieces. Kind of your usual dimensions, 40 millimeter. It's got the Cal 733 in it, which is I believe, an enhanced Solita SW200.
Yeah.
100 meter resistance comes in around 1900 euro, so not horribly priced. You get some creamy lume, you get the Diver 65 aesthetic, which I'm a big fan of. It looks like you get two straps with it, which I'm also a big fan of. Right?
Yeah.
I know we both love a good tropic, so that's a plus. I I don't really know what else there is to say about it. I mean, I'm a big Diver 65 fan. I think for me, that and the Pointer Date are probably my two favorite Oris models. And I don't think I've chosen a favorite yet, but it's hard for me not to like this watch.
No, it's a good one. I think this one was done really right. I love the fact that it says, or star,
Yes.
because it's actually how the originals were shipped in some of the variations. And according to my research, basically what that indicates was that this movement was basically fine tuned for higher accuracy or performance from Oris back in the day. So it was a signifier on their timepieces that said, "Hey, this is using a different type of technology than everything else that we're using in our other timepieces. We're going to give it the star branding because it's basically the pinnacle of what we're doing at that time." Which I think is kind of cool to carry that motif forward. I like the way that it looks. To me, this is the most vintage feeling Diver 65, other than the version that I personally own, which is the funky numerals, the kind of the OG Gen 1 Diver 65.
Right.
But I like this one a lot. It's got a little bit different styling, a little bit different motif than what you see. I love the fact that it comes with Tropic. I think RJ and the team at Fratello did a really, really solid job with this offering. And I'm curious to see if they're still available. I doubt that they are, because it seemed like everyone universally loved this one when it dropped.
Yeah, I agree. And I really like the case back. I don't know if you saw the case back. It's
With the
got
big
Fratello.
F, right?
Yes, the big F for Fratello. It's kind of in almost like a negative space look, and it's got the number out of 300 written right below it. So
Yeah, it's nice. It's
very
really,
cool
really, really nice.
stylistically, kind of nice, nuanced choices all around. I'm a big fan. I think if it's not gone, I think this one's probably going very, very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up is a brand that is right now the village bicycle of the watch world because they're getting around.
Everyone's getting a ride.
Nevada has teamed up with this time with Worn and Wound. We had three Nevada collabs last show.
Yeah.
This time we got multiple, but they're all under Worn and Wound. So they did a Value 72 Chronomaster, and this is I believe it's a remake.
Yep.
and it's a really nice size, 38 by 14. It's I think it's only 20 pieces, so it's a bit pricey. It's almost 7 grand.
Well, I mean,
This
it's a Value
right. It
72.
is powered by a movement that once powered the Paul Newman Daytona.
It's kind of a big deal movement,
Yeah, it's if you know what you're getting, it's one of those. It's a if you know what you're getting type of thing. It's a
Yeah,
big
yeah,
deal,
yeah,
right? It's like I'll give you an example, like the Buick Grand National, right? From the outside, kind of looks like it's a Buick. It's a little sporty, but under the hood, that thing is a beat. Like everybody who's a car person knows the Grand National is a monster.
yeah.
Like they had it in training day. Cool car. Like similar idea. This is a cool watch, but until you know what you're getting under the hood, it makes it that much cooler.
Oh, for
The
sure.
the
Oh, for
color
sure.
scheme is very funky. I really like they describe the bezel as cherry coke. I think that's the completely appropriate name for this color.
Did they really? I must have
Yeah.
missed that.
That was a cool. It's exactly what it looks like, a cherry coke.
Cherry
Yeah.
Coke. I love it. I
There's a lot
love
of
it.
maroon and kind of electric blue with some navy and yellow. It's a lot of funky colors, but they all work pretty well. It's got a really cool chapter ring. The markers are really nice. They're kind of split between maroon and white. A lot to like about this watch. Again, 20 pieces. It comes on
Yeah.
they're neat little beads of rice. Very, very neat. For 7 grand, I'm probably not buying one, but very neat.
No, I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a timepiece that is obviously well thought out. It's inspired but not derivative, but not, overly copied. It has its own essence, its own DNA. You obviously know what it is, but it's just very cool. And one thing that I can say safely about all of the One and Wound collabs that I've seen is they're not afraid to really play with color and do odd designs. Arguably these watches are odd designs,
A little,
but
yeah.
but that's kind of why I like them. It was like when they did the
The Trapper Keeper Zodiac.
yes, yes. I mean, I loved it. I thought it was so cool. And for me, it was like, oh man, this was so much reminiscent of the late 80s going into the 90s, where all these bright, vibrant, highlighter and pastel colors were coming into fashion, into, design and decor. I mean, I remember, you know, Laser Quest and different types of like movie theaters with this crazy psychedelic carpet and these weird patterns. And that's kind of what they were able to harness in these types of designs. So even though the Data Master and the one with the Value 72, even though these are kind of reissue pieces, the way that they incorporate, different types of color tones makes them really cool. I really did appreciate that.
Yeah, I think you're definitely onto something there. And it's funny when you mentioned kind of that era, it for some reason brought me back to a funny memory I had where that was during a time where like the nylon jumpsuit was cool. I mean, granted, I
Oh
was like 5 years
yes,
old. I was like 4 or 5
yes,
years old. I remember my mother got me it was mostly black, but it had some neon on it. Some
yeah,
of it was pink. And I remember I gave her a ton of shit and I would refuse to wear it because I'm like, I'm a boy. I wore pink. What the hell? Like, and
yeah,
now, like, reflecting after the past year, like, how ironic.
yes. That's kind of hilarious,
It
actually.
is, but I don't know why I remembered it or even how I remembered it. But I have a strangely
I
accurate
mean, we are
long term
definitely
memory.
we are definitely the windbreaker starter jacket generation. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
mean, who didn't have a Charlotte Hornets starter jacket?
oh my
That was
god.
the starter. And then
I
the
mean,
best part was, I don't know if you saw it. There was an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they flashed back to that time period, and Mac is wearing a Charlotte Hornets starter jacket. And I almost died because it was like everybody had the Charlotte Hornets
yeah,
starter jacket because it was kind of that fun color blue with the purple
yeah.
accents, the cool bee, Hornet character on it. It was just the coolest
It was
thing
it
at
was a
that time.
pop culture icon. I mean,
That and
that design
the Miami
that was for
Dolphins were
sure.
like the two cool colored teams to wear.
Well, see, everyone down here had a Cowboys one. Like everyone, it was like the big star, white, navy, silver, giant. That's when they used to do the font, like
Well, they were great then too.
oh man, well, yeah, for sure, they were
Aikman,
certainly
Emmett
America's
Smith,
team.
Michael Irvin,
But
et
I mean,
cetera,
like
et cetera.
they had the oversized font where Cowboys really spelled out like half of your chest.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like those whole starter jackets, and they're it's funny enough they're making a comeback now. People are starting to collect them again and buy new versions of them. But those old jackets, man, there was something essence about them. And you're right, the Charlotte Hornets with the like one of the coolest color schemes of any professional sporting team in the history of ever. I've always loved those colors together. Maybe that's why there's a little bit of that color in our logo,
Could be.
you know?
Yeah, them and the Dolphins. And at that time, if you remember, Ace Ventura came out around that time too. So the Dolphins were extra cool because
Oh
Dan
yeah,
Marino was
yeah.
in the
Dan
movie,
Marino.
right? The Dolphin Snowflake was the
Laces out, Dan. Laces out.
that movie has it'll never get old. That's
I love
just the
that movie.
best.
I
It's
love that
just the
movie.
best. Sticking with this, there's also a another offering here, and this was kind of strange to me because I was looking for the availability, and it was basically per order. Like if you ordered one, you got one, and it was only in the window of December 7th through 10th, so it's long gone by now. So the second offering is a 36 millimeter by 12 millimeter thick. It's the Data Master VK64. If anybody knows VK64, it's a mega quartz movement. So these are nice and slim. They're kind of in a similar motif, but not exactly to the Valjoux. You get two different. One's a black dial, one's a blue dial, and they have kind of the same colors, just reoriented. But they had this order window, and if you ordered one in there, you're gonna get one. But now they're gone.
That's an interesting that's an interesting way to do a drop. Because honestly, with this one and the other one, I didn't know that they were two different things.
I didn't at first either. I had to look a
I
little
knew that
wee
I
bit
knew that they
closer.
released two different or like basically two different types of the watches. One was the Data Master, one was the
Chronomaster,
Chronomaster, right? Or not what do they call it? The
CASD,
CAST.
Chronomaster Aviator Sea Diver.
Yes, thank you. That's like Chronomaster. That's the Zenith, right? Like there's too many
Yeah,
Chronomasters out
there's
there, apparently.
too many
Uh,
masters. I was thinking about this earlier. Everything's a goddamn master. Data
hey,
Master, Chronomaster,
Sea
GMT
Masters,
Master.
Space Master.
Uh,
There's a lot of masters out
Master
there.
Bit. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, for sure. No, but I didn't notice that this was a different thing, and I didn't know that that was the price point. And look at the price point now; it was like $450 US.
And these bad boys are gone.
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because the other one was the Chronomaster Value 72. That was 6,900, and then this one here with the black dial and the turquoisey blue dial, those are both 450. I didn't know that they had like a window of production time to get them. I might have tried to got have I might have tried to get
Yeah,
one.
these are kind of neat. Like if you're into like the brew look, but not so much the case shapes and everything, like
Yeah,
this is your watch.
yeah. I mean, it's certainly a very cool looking watch.
Yeah, and the big differences are between the Chronomaster and the Data Master. Is the Data Master has a dated 6. It's a bicompax.
Yeah,
They're both
and
chronographs.
obviously Mecha Quartz
Right, Mecha Quartz movement. The Chronomaster's a tricompax. It's got a bezel on it. Yeah,
and a Value 72.
yes, obviously we've hammered home that it has a phenomenal movement. But
And you know what? All of them are out of stock. Every single reference. So
so
somebody bought those $7,000 Nevadas.
you know, there are hardcore collectors out there for everything, and
I mean, but again,
I'm
the
dying to meet
Value
them, whoever
72
they
is
are.
like
If any of
that's a
them,
movement.
if any of you bought one of those, please let us know.
Yeah, 38 millimeters. Oof.
And the other one is
That is
36.
literally like your specked out watch, man.
The VK64 is 36.
Oof.
36 by 12. That is a
Man.
nice size for a chronograph. Like a little neat little mecha quartz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never owned a Mecha Quartz movement. I just feel like sometimes the running seconds would really bother me.
It's cool, man. Like I still have that Yama that I picked up, the Panda Yama, and It's
It's a
neat.
VK64 too, right?
I believe, yeah. It's nice because you do get that sweeping chrono seconds, which is nice.
Yeah.
And on that one, they don't have a running second, so it doesn't bother you as much as seeing the tiny second hand tick tick tick,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I feel you.
and last but not least here, another Hodinky collab. Hodinky and Nomos dropped the Club Date 38 in four different colors, 75 each in production, yellow, blue, green, and sort of a terracotta at 22.50. Another reasonably affordable Hodinky collab. So that's two in a
Yeah.
row. I mean, maybe they're just kind of reading the room and the economic times and saying, if we're gonna put out some stuff, people got to be able to afford it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But these are cool. It's a lot like the watch that Nomos gave to me,
Yep.
the Deep Pink 38,
Yep.
but
Yep.
this one
Yep.
has a date and
And
a
it
so
says New York on it.
yeah, that is cool. It has New York under Glashütte. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
And you get these cool colorways here. Now, I believe it is appropriate that Nomos did indeed go bro before ho here. So
Mm.
that's cool also.
Yes. 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 Yes.
But cool little watches. I really like the green. It's almost like a pistachio.
Yeah. 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 I was just looking at that one.
All the colors are pretty neat.
And I'll be honest with you, at first glance, I wrote these off because the live shot product photos, they were taken in it looks like it was taken in Central Park.
Yeah.
When I first saw them, I noticed that there was a lot of reflectivity on the dial, and I assumed that those dials were mother of pearl
Oh, interesting.
because of the reflections.
You know what's funny? I thought the sub dial was something mother of pearl meteorite something because you're
Yeah.
right. It is very reflective.
But now that I'm looking at it, I'm seeing it. I'm like, oh, these are just colorful dials with a silvered out small seconds sub dial, which now I'm kind of like, oh, I like that a lot better than what I thought I had initially seen because the colors really work and they work well.
Yeah,
But
and
man, I
kind of
feel kind of silly that they were mother of pearl at first glance. I saw this and I immediately wrote it off because I'm like, what is this? Like, why would I buy a mother of pearl dial? That's just me. You know what I mean? But they're very cool otherwise. And I think what's also interesting, I mean, maybe this is just the way the photo is, but the green dial looks like it comes on a textile strap, and the other ones are coming on leather, suede, or a
interesting.
nubuck. Yeah. Let's see.
Another interesting little tidbit is I don't know if you saw the whole sort of photo gallery they had there. The couple in the photo was one of the female is somebody that I shared the stage with at the wind up panel.
I knew she looked familiar.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, so I think it's a nice release. Other than that, I don't really know what to say about it.
No, I mean, I think it's cool. I think this watch is different enough to what Nomos currently has in their offering that it would be enticing. I mean, as far as I can tell, all of them are already sold out, especially given at the price point.
And there weren't
It's
many, 75
yeah,
each.
yeah. I mean, $2,250. Great price point, great size, especially with a date, which typically, from what I understand, is really reserved for more the larger cased Nomos timepieces. It's still manual wind, so very thin, and it's cool that it has a little novelties of like the date at 6 o'clock, which is color matched to the overall dial. You have the small seconds with the alternate sub dial coloring, and the fact that New York is literally kind of ghosted out onto the dial as well. I think that's kind of cool. Those are little nod features that I think would make this watch more attractive to somebody getting it outside of just a normal Nomos offer.
Yeah, totally agree. So, main topic with the year rounding out, I thought it would be fun to sort of look at. We didn't do a predictions episode. but we did a wish list of sorts
Mm-hmm.
last December. Sort of some things we wanted to see, some things we thought might be trending. And so I went back through that episode. And I kind of wrote down the main talking points we had discussed. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of come back and see if any of those either hit or were ran with or what have you.
Yeah.
So I'll run through those. Then I've got some trends of 22, notable releases, and then just some interesting themes and tidbits, sort of.
Okay.
So I remember my first, and usually my go-to is uh, a request for smaller watches. Now I don't think this was an overwhelming theme. We did get some smaller stuff overall. Like I said, I just mentioned a 36 millimeter chronograph. When's the last time you heard of a 36 millimeter chronograph?
Or Panerai.
Yeah, that's right. We've
We
got
got a lot more Panerais now that are coming in smaller sizes. So
yeah. So you're seeing Panerais in 38 now.
mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a huge trend shift, but I think you're seeing, I guess, less than smaller watches. You're just seeing sort of that kind of all encompassing size range. 37 to 39 is sort of becoming more of the norm,
Yeah.
where 36 is still a bit of a reach nowadays, but you're seeing that 39, 38 is sort of becoming just that sweet spot for everyone. And at that point, more or less anybody can enjoy your watch. It opens up your consumer base. It sort of makes it easily accessible for any gender or body makeup or however your wrist might be put together. I know mine's a little strangely bony. Other people have more round wrists. It kind of just lends a nice wearing experience to everybody. One that you had brought up, and I know we saw a few early in the year, but I don't know much beyond that, was rectangular cases. I know we got an Oris.
Yeah. We had gotten an Oris. We got a couple of the some different line extensions of the Cartier tanks, some other versions of the Cartier. I mean, I don't typically follow them too much because they do a lot of art pieces,
Yeah.
and they're basically hard to get. Or as a buddy of mine who works for Cartier said, they're basically impossible to get.
Wow.
They do a launch and it's like sold out in China, and then the rest of the world gets like 5 for the entire world,
Interesting.
and so it's basically impossible to get these watches. But other than that, there's a lot of cool rectangular pieces that are coming out, and I think that's becoming more of a style trend that we're seeing kind of people returning to, which I like. I'm here for it. I think it would be very cool to have some more rectangular pieces in the mix.
Yeah, and especially with the return of, I think we're seeing a lot of early and mid 1900s TV shows out now.
Yeah,
So I think sort of that generation's fashion are coming back again. Like I always
yeah,
go back to like Boardwalk Empire. You see a ton
yeah.
of square and rectangular
Or
watches.
or
That was
like
just
Peaky Blinders,
yeah,
right?
that
Like I
was the
mean,
time,
yeah, just very similar.
but there's just something very classy about a square rectangular case. I don't know. They're usually very small, very proportionate, very easy to look at because there's not much like deviations, just very straight lines,
Yeah,
very clean. So I mean, I think as far as dress pieces, like if you're somebody who dresses up often, I think that's a slam dunk case for you.
yeah.
Next one was mil spec. I don't know. I can't really think of anything too crazy in the realm of mil spec. I mean, I know we got the below the mill ships. I know we've had some Blanc ponds come out. I mean, field watches have been hot.
Yeah.
That's
That's not really a
that's
2022
yeah,
thing. It's
yeah,
been like a carryover for the last
right.
couple of years.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was a trending thing necessarily, but we did get the, I don't know if it was that in 22 or 21, the Tornec Rayville.
I think that was last year, 21.
But we're getting a few I don't know if you want to use the term we've sort of picked up as zombie brands or sort of revivals. You've seen a few of those pop up. I don't think mil spec ever goes out of style. I mean, I would still
No.
absolutely love the more mil spec, the older Seamasters
Oh,
that are just so good.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just a
Hey man, look.
High dollar pipe dream.
Hey, one of these days, I guarantee you somebody from Omega is listening. They have to be. Just give us a reissue of the second generation Seamaster 300 from the 60s, big triangle military
That's the
version.
one.
Or if you don't want to go that far back, then give us a reissue of the 225450, the Peter Blake Seamaster.
Yeah, that's been a
That's
long
a
time
clutch
coming.
one. I mean, it's got to, just make it its own thing in the line. And that's
That's
it. Just
overdue.
one reference. One reference.
Make it ceramic. It'd be so dope.
225450. And even, here's the thing. Why not just do a stripped down version of the Seamaster? You do a 225450 relaunch. You do very simple dial, in-house movement, anti-magnetic, all the good stuff. You don't do ceramic, you do aluminum, you do all brush finish, the stuff that people really have been jonesing for. And then you sell it at, I think the new Seamaster's 5,400, I think, on bracelet. You sell it for 5,000 on bracelet. Why
Well,
not?
that or because it's supposed to be mil spec, you just don't even offer a bracelet and you just cut the price even more because it's kind of a bare bones offering,
You know?
right? I mean, the Omega natives are amazing, right? The rubbers are good. So why not?
I mean, I'm here for it. I think a lot of people would be here
Yeah, I
for
think everybody and their brother has been sort of
it. Please
calling for
bring
the
back the
Peter
Peter
Blake
Blake, right?
to bring it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like that was like when Jordan retired and they were like, all right, this isn't for real, right? Like he's coming back.
He
Might be on the
came back.
Wizards, but he's coming back.
Just had a baseball player for a little bit, and then he came back.
He got sucked
He
down a
came
golf
back and
hole.
back. Yeah,
Had to beat the Monstars, but he's back.
that's right. That's right. The monsters. Oh,
Uh,
it's such a good film. I believe I can fly.
You know what I was surprised? I was listening to a pod where they were talking about Rotten Tomato scores, and it doesn't that Space Jam does not have a high score.
Yeah, because Rotten Tomato scores are completely inflated.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the critic score. I understand because they're just usually stuffy people. The audience
Oh,
score was
this is
not
an
that high.
audience score.
Yeah, I was
Well, you
like, I
know
thought
what?
everybody loves Space Jam.
I'm sure that that's the case. They do. I just, for me, when was the last time you positively reviewed a thing on Rotten Tomatoes?
I mean, I don't even use the site, but it was just
Exactly.
brought to my attention. I was like, what?
Exactly. And I think, it's funny that you mentioned this because there's some people that I follow that are podcasters and stuff. They've talked about this phenomenon as well. And I think one of the things with Rotten Tomatoes is you have to be a Rotten Tomatoes like verified reviewer
Oh God.
in order to score it on the audience score. So it's like, what's the pool of people that are actually that's going through
Okay,
and reviewing
that
all
makes a
of
little
these
more
films,
sense.
So it's super,
I was gonna
you
say
know,
it. Bill Murray, Newman, Michael Jordan, Looney Tunes cast. You had a bunch of professional, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing,
yep.
all these
Michael
great
Jordan.
players. Yeah, right.
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, of course. And then soundtrack was great. The
Oh, the
animation was
soundtrack was
great. Like, there's
fantastic.
nothing not to like about that movie. I heard the new one was trash. I didn't even see it, but
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. Let me just say this: the new one to me just is so unappealing that it's free on the airlines, and I still refuse to watch it.
wow.
I just won't do it. I'll watch other movies 7 times over than trying to give LeBron a shot to be the new Space Jam. You'll never be Michael Jordan, especially not in Space Jam.
It was
Sorry.
funny. I saw there was a meme that had just based off of the actual cinematography, like their stats, and it was like Jordan 20 of 21, like 50 points and a game winner, and it was like LeBron like 4 of 10, like 8 points. It was really really funny. I gotta find it. I gotta find that and post that with the show notes. That'll be really hilarious.
That's awesome.
But
That's
really
awesome.
really
And look, whatever they did to Lola Bunny,
oh that
just
poor
I
Lola.
just wrote it off immediately when I
It,
found that out. I was like, all right, this
they took
is
her cake.
you guys are clowns, man. You guys are clowns. That was every young kid's crush, okay? Lola Bunny, all right? Let's not
Or
remove that.
bugs.
Whew.
Another good one that I think we have seen a bit of is text reduction on dials, and I think with the drop of the Pelagos 39, we saw a little bit less It wasn't quite J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the
It wasn't a
Rings, The
novel.
Hobbit
It
type
was
of
more of a
novel.
novella
It
this
wasn't
time.
right. It wasn't It by Stephen King,
It was
but they
more
definitely
a
took it down a
novella
little
this
bit.
time. Yeah, yeah.
But I think that's people have at least taken note of that clutter and that too many words. As fun as it is to put things like chronometer officially certified and depth ratings and your brand name, model name, um, the name of your firstborn child, whatever, just throw it on there. As much fun as that is, I think people have come to realize that there is too much at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think the best execution of this in recent time for me is the new version of the Seamaster 300, where it literally says Omega and then Seamaster 300 and
And
nothing
that's it.
else. That's it. That's literally it. So for all you dial text Nazis out there, like that's a watch to go take a look at because it's got literally the least amount of text I've ever seen
And you
on a
could think
modern steel sports diver.
you could put so many things on that dial, given
Absolutely.
all their
Master
chronometer
chronometer,
spec,
300 meters,
anti-mag, blah blah blah. Right?
You could put a whole novel on there and they just didn't. And they're like, it's on the case back,
That's a good
maybe.
move. especially
You
with the
know?
wave dial, you don't want to ruin that. Like you put all that sexy etching in there. You don't want to be covering that up with text.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is actually a different version. This is the heritage version.
Oh, the 300. Sorry, I thought you
Yeah,
said
so it's
300 now.
just literally just Omega and then Seamaster 300 at the bottom. Nothing else. No professional, no certified master chronometer, nothing. Even though it is, it's just literally those two words, which to me is like so nice to see on a watch dial because you compare it to a sub and it's like, you know where I stand about that. Just too much, too much, too much, too much. If you want to put it on the case back, but I know you never will because you want your case backs completely devoid of anything.
Yeah, for the engraving of the people who used to get achievements can't find them now.
No, and they even did away with their. I think we talked about this before on the podcast that they did away with their celebratory aspect of their business,
Yeah,
like their
yeah,
anniversary stuff before.
that's long gone.
Yeah, I mean they canceled it. So good luck trying to get an anniversary Rolex for your 25 years of service, sir.
Lo Ciento. Speaking of Omega, you didn't get your fancy GMT you're looking for.
I know.
Any hope of that? Any hope of
I'm
that
I'm
coming down the
always
pipeline?
I'm always holding out hope for that. I'm always holding out hope for that.
I
I
mean, GMT's been hot lately, right? They gotta have their
I,
toes
I
in the
wouldn't be
water,
surprised.
right?
I wouldn't be surprised if something next year comes or the year after that because, like you said, the GMT has been hot. Omega's a big brand. They certainly do flow with market trends because they know it's going to be profitable for business. Obviously, they're going to do some outlier stuff, but for the most part, they're going to play it safe with regards to some things. And I think a GMT is a logical next step, especially if they really are vying for position to take more market share from Rolex. I think a GMT in a sports watch is certainly necessary. Now, they don't need to do a GMT Master Pilot GMT, and like I indicated on that episode, I want a true diver's GMT. Give me a rotating bezel, rotates one direction. I don't need a 24-hour scale on the bezel. Give it to me internally. Give me a true GMT with a jump hour hand, and let's call it a day. I don't need to track 3 time zones. Let me track 2.
Now
Okay.
they did give you the ability to track time on a different planet, however. So I don't know if that satiates you a little bit.
I mean, that's also very cool. The Mars timer is so cool. I mean, if I had the option to get one, you bet your bottom I certainly would. It's a very cool watch.
One thing I asked for was precious metals. I don't think I noticed too much extra in the precious metals
Mm-mm,
game. I think
mm-mm.
it's pretty much standard, except of course the 5811, right?
Oh, the 5811. It doesn't even have a nice ring to it like the 5711 did.
It doesn't. You're right about that.
It's very blunt. It's like 5711 is like the nice symphony, and it's like 5811. It's like it's like
Nails on a
nails on a
chalkboard.
chalkboard.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know. It's that whole situation was kind of fun, but
I I mean, come on. Like you're gonna tease us with officially killing off the 5711, right? We're gonna do the final 5711. If you didn't get one, you didn't get one. And then we're like, all right, guys, we're doing it for real, for real. So we're gonna release this hunter green version, and then we're gonna also release the same hunter green version with a diamond set bezel. And then we're like, all right, this is it. It's officially dead. 2 months later, it's like the Tiffany version comes out, and everyone
but
loses their
wait,
mind, and
there's
LeBron's
more.
wearing it, and it's just like, what are we doing? And then all of a sudden that goes away. It's like, okay, now we're officially done. And then all of a sudden, boom, the 5811. I'm like, okay, so now it's a 5711 that's in solid white gold that actually hacks the movement and it's larger in size. Cool. Great. Thanks. Good job. Good job.
Uh, but in relation to precious metals, I didn't see too. I mean, you got some cool stuff from
I
Omega, right? You had some cool, neat gold releases and things like that, as they do. They always have some neat shades and different alloys and things like that. But
Yeah.
aside from
But
them,
I think with market trends though, you're gonna start seeing a lot less two tone, a lot less gold as things start shifting out and markets start stabilizing a little bit more with regards to people's willingness to spend on high dollar ticket items
yeah,
right
that is
now.
true. That is true.
So I think brands are kind of start slowing down their gold evolution and production just because inherently like it's not something that you can keep consistently pumping out forever.
Yeah, now here's one that was very on brand for 2022, and that is competition between brands. I mean, how many sort of one ups did we see? Right, we saw
Too many.
the Richard Mille break the record for the thinnest watch.
After what was it Bulgari and
Piaget.
Piaget kind of battling it out for a long time.
Yep,
It's like the dark horse RM just swoops in. It's like, all right, guys, this is our this is our field now.
Dick Millie, baby, for the win. So we saw that. We saw the Omega Ultra Deep. We saw the Deep Sea Challenge watch.
Yep.
I did see a fair amount of sort of trying to push that envelope, and I feel like even in the smaller, the I don't want to say lesser brands, though the smaller price point brands, you did see people trying to put out just some more heavy duty stuff. You know, some deeper divers, some
Yeah.
little value propositions, I guess you'd say in that realm where you're getting a little bit extra for your money, and I always appreciate that. I don't know about anybody else, but it's nice to see the brands taking notice and saying, game on. We're gonna put our heads together. We're gonna come up with something new, and that's gonna take the crown from somebody else.
Yeah, no, I think it's only good. Healthy competition is always good. It sparks creativity. It sparks, new manufacturing. All of these things are good for the industry. The industry needs it. It's absolutely important because if not, everybody just stagnates. Everyone starts rebranding dials with hands, and basically everyone has the same ETA movement from the inside. So like what we saw over the last 20, 25 years. That's what happened. Everyone was doing the same exact stuff, just rebranding it and calling it their own when it wasn't actually their own. This market change has with regards to competition is good and it's healthy and it's necessary to keep producing new things that are exciting, things that are cool, things that you know we couldn't have ever conceived from brands that delivered them. Right? We talked about the some chime stuff. Christopher Ward, man, like I would have never thought they would have done a chime watch, and they did. And I think that that's awesome for them. Like this is good stuff.
Yeah, very much so. And lastly was just more easy strap changes and adjustable clasps, hit and miss. I mean, I think it's still kind of a micro brand perk that you're getting from a lot of people.
Yeah,
A few bigger brands do it, but I don't think it's necessarily high on their priority lists, even though it's sort of high on the watch people's lists.
yeah, no, yeah. I'm thinking to myself that I think a lot of the bigger brands are hesitant about doing it because of what happens when it fails. So perfect example of this. My Baltic Aquascaf. Um, it has a quick change bracelet, and on the bracelet, basically, the way that it's designed is it has one long spring bar, and there's two little heads on either side that you can literally
Right. You
compress with the
pinch.
fingernails,
Yeah.
and it comes off. Right. Well, what I didn't know is those little heads screw into the spring bar.
Oh,
So if you don't notice, like I did on mine, um, one of those heads came off. And so now I had a spring bar that I couldn't basically operate the way that it was designed to. So I would have to use my nail and spring bar tool to remove the bracelet every single time. And eventually it just failed completely. So then I had to, message Baltic, and they were quick and, they were nice enough and quick enough to send me some replacement spring bars. And they're like, if you're okay with this, this is fine. This is a solution that we can get you right now, or we can sell you a new bracelet. I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy a new bracelet.
no.
So just send me the spring bars and let's see if I can fix it. Well, as handy as I am with tools, I cannot get it to get installed, because what I'm going to have to do is hold the spring bar inside the bracelet while screwing in simultaneously a small little head into the other side of the bracelet to fix the spring bar pin. It's not a very easy thing to do. So I think from a lot of brands, the hesitation is what happens when you get to that point when something like that failed, because you're making something much more complex than it needs to be. Do you replace the whole bracelet? Can you replace only the parts that wear out or break? What happens if the spring bar head shears off after years of wear? Like, what do you do? If all of that is designed internally, what's the what do you do after that?
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people have come to that realization, because let's use a Rolex bracelet, right? Like, last time I checked those bracelets back when I was, working in the store, they were like $1,500 for like a Submariner, glide lock class bracelet, right? 904L steel glide lock sub bracelet, $1,500, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, they're probably more now.
Could you imagine if it had quick change pins and everything like that broke? Do you replace the whole Rolex bracelet? Knowing the crown, they probably would make you. So, I mean, I think it's something that a lot of people want from the micro space because they can deliver it. But the problem is, what is the long term ownership aspect of having something like that? And I don't think a lot of people have come to that conclusion yet. It's quick and easy for the interim, but when stuff fails, it fails. Like, but then what do you do?
Yeah, I was a teenager learning to drive during the Fast and Furious craze. And I had a Honda Civic for my first car. So my dad was in the car industry at one point. And so I said, Dad, I gotta mod this thing out, right? That's what you do. He goes, listen, more you put in the car, more that breaks, more that can go wrong,
Yep.
and more money you'll have to spend. And I was like, all right, fair enough. I'm a broke teenager. Well, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. But it's true though. I mean, it's like, I look at this strap, that I have. It's got quick change pins. You know, Granted, if it breaks, I can just slide the pin out and replace it with a standard pin that works. But you lose the whole appeal of the quick change strap, right?
Right.
So these are things to think about for the future. And I know this isn't really a podcast episode dedicated to quick change bracelets, but it's something that I feel needs to be said, because I've heard about it so many times from so many different places that people are like, oh, these brands just don't want to do it. I'm like, I don't think it's that. They don't want to produce a subpar product, because ultimately their reputation is on the line
Yeah,
for
they
it.
have to deliver.
It if Baltic messes up, well, me having a complaint really isn't going to change the world of Baltic. But if Omega produces 100,000 bracelets and they all fail, like that's
Yeah.
an issue. You know what I mean?
So after that, I decided to try and think of sort of the trends that were prevalent in 22. One of them, I definitely saw a resurgence in titanium,
Oh yeah,
right? I mean, I love titanium. It's a beautiful, lightweight case material. It's durable. It has its ups and downs compared to steel. I like it a lot.
Yeah,
Ultra Deep came in titanium. Deep
so
Sea
good.
Challenge came in titanium. Pelagos,
RLX. Hey, it's RLX titanium. Get it
that's
right.
right. But that was a big deal for Rolex, right?
Absolutely.
Pelagos 39 came in titanium. Even hell, the Citizen Challenge Diver came in titanium, right?
Yep.
Big year for titanium. I mean, obviously there's different grades. And you saw I think even the oars we talked about, the black one with the orange dial was titanium that they
For the
or
the
or the
the
bezel
the
was titanium and they PVD'd it, I think.
That's right. It was a PVD like almost like an engine turned bezel.
Right. So we're seeing some neat stuff, even texturally with titanium. I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's not necessarily as malleable and everything as stainless steel or some of these other materials, but I think it's definitely got its place in watches. I really, really enjoy the way that it feels when I wear a titanium watch.
No, I mean I'll say this. My Ploprof that I got about a month ago or so now is my first real titanium watch, especially from a luxury manufacturer. I have not taken this watch off. I sleep in it. I shower in it. I do everything around the house with it. Change diapers. Do whatever I need to do. I'm wearing this watch, and I have not taken it off at all. It is a dream to wear, especially given the specs. At 55 millimeters, I don't even feel it. I had a buddy who was interested in kind of trying it on. He's a smaller statured guy. He bought his, we've talked about him before, but he bought his first nice watch earlier this year. He bought a Black Bay 58 blue. And he asked me to take it off so he could compare the weight side by side. It weighed about the same feeling wise to his 58. And this is a considerably larger watch. Not to mention with titanium, some of the things that a lot of people don't understand too, is when you wear titanium on days where it's extremely hot or extremely cold in your environment, your watch does not absorb that same type of heat or cold. Right? If you wear a stainless steel watch
You're
in
correct.
frigid Chicago, you're going to feel how cold it is on your wrist. Titanium doesn't really do that. Ceramic doesn't really do that. The same thing if it's ultra hot. It's not going to absorb the heat in the same way that a stainless steel timepiece would. So it's much more comfortable. You're going to get less of that sticky, sweaty, swelling wrist feeling with something like a titanium watch. And I'm here for it. I just think the biggest detraction for many people is the price point. It's expensive to
It's an
produce a
exotic
watch in
material.
titanium. Yep. Especially at a high grade. If you want any type of polishing or decoration on your watch, it's at minimum grade 5 titanium. It's the only way to get a high polish finish. If it's just all industrial gunmetal, it's usually about a grade 2. But grade 5 has more different types of alloys inside of it, which means it can achieve a higher shine in polishing, but it's much more labor intensive to do it. So
It's all
there's
right. They
always
got
going to
all
be a trade
those
off.
they got all those grandmas in the Grand Seiko factory be polishing that thing by hand.
Jeez, that's a lot, man. Titanium's a hard material to work with, but it's a dream to wear, truly.
It is. Uh I think we've touched on recently black cases have had a moment. I think
Yep.
that's been
I
there
think
the
yeah,
whole way.
yeah, I would agree. It's good, man. I like black. I like black cases.
I mean, it's not only is it stealthy and not only does it give you kind of a masculine watch, it's just it's not so blingy. For the people who
Yeah.
aren't into blingy, it's a cool option.
It would be really funny. I know this would be so out of character for them, but it'd be kind of interesting to see it like a Nomos club in like a murdered out black steel case.
Like black with just white for everything else, like
I don't know. I mean, like
and
do
just
it.
like a hot pink secondhand like they
I
do,
was
like
I was gonna say like do like
or the orange.
a completely blacked out. I don't know if it's PVD or whatever dial or treatment you want to do for the case, but do a blacked out Nomos with maybe a blacked out dial and then just a pop of color for either Nomos or just a second hand. I think that would be amazing and be so different for them,
Very
but so
offbeat.
cool. That would be awesome.
Yeah, you'd have to come up with like the what's the word? Maybe like knocked, right? Isn't that night?
Yeah.
Right.
Or
That'll be
noir.
there we go. Look at this. I'm
You could
marketing
do you
already.
could do the Nomos Club 38 Noir Pink. I think that'd be sick.
Yeah, I'm with it. I would definitely check that out. That would be neat.
I mean, like, and actually, I said 38. I meant 36. Like that's the size I really want. Give me a Nomos Club Campus 36 Noir Pink.
Very cool. Nomos, get on that. I know some of you listen. Get on it.
I think it'd be cool. That's just my druthers right there. That's my wish list for 2023.
I know we saw, in addition to black, we saw purple became a very big color this
Yes,
year.
yes.
I know it
And I'm sure it's gonna carry into next year as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. We saw a purple Nomos. We saw a purple Chapek. We saw a purple Tag Heuer. It's been everywhere. I think everybody's sort of warmed up to the idea of maybe wearing a purple watch. It's not such a a gender oriented thing anymore. People are just down to wear whatever looks cool. So purple, I think, is here to stay. We talked about sort of breaking records as a theme. That was between, like I said, the Richard Mille or uh, the deep sea watches. I think that was a big thing this year. And as we touched on before, pink was a big deal.
Yes, it
I
was.
like to think I had a small hand in that, but
Hey,
hey,
look, I look, I've shared this with you so many times throughout this year. I'm like, I know for you that you didn't want to really like, I don't know, like internally admit it to yourself, right? Like you didn't want to come across like you were gloating or anything like that. But I was like, bro, I am noticing so many more pink dial watches than I have ever in my entire life as a collector.
that was definitely a thing
It
for
it,
sure.
it, it was 100% a thing. They were just coming out of the woodwork like crazy. And you have to have had some type of impact on this for sure, without question.
I think it
The
was more. I think it was a bit of a free marketing experiment for people. Was that they were like, well, if people are into this, then we know it's got staying power.
Absolutely. So why not do it? You know? And we saw this from big brands that were doing this.
Yeah,
Not only with the Pink Dial project that happened last year in 2021, that kind of really started mainstream brands doing Pink Dial watches, but they were doing one of ones. It wasn't like a production run.
yeah.
But,
We got a
Oris did,
Zenith. We got a Zenith El Primero
yeah.
with a pink dial.
I mean, look at what Oris did last year with the bronze, right? They did
Right.
the cotton candies. That was a Pink Dial watch dedicated in the lineup, already a part of that before you got a hold of it to auction off last year. And then this year, you had kind of a continuation of some of the Pink Dial stuff, and then you had Zenith produce an entire line of watches, sold exclusively through boutique or e-commerce that were dedicated to breast cancer awareness and things like that. And it was a pink watch.
I know Timex had one.
Yeah, Timex had the same thing. There were several of the brands
There was one more
that were
big one.
doing pink watches for a cause. And I think that as much as maybe pink wasn't like a Pantone color focus, where they say it's like, oh, this is the color
It
for the
wasn't
year.
Mojave. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. As much as it wasn't a decidedly Pantone choice color, pink was very much a prominent color in so many different things, whether it was straps, whether it was dials, whether it was accent colors. I saw it so much more than I ever have before in the entire history that I've been a collector and an enthusiast in this. And I think you and the cause that you've brought to light, especially from the work that you've done, which is you don't have a marketing team, you don't have a social media team, you have nothing. It's you and
I
a
like to
laptop and a
I
cell
like
phone.
to describe it as jerk with an iPhone is my marketing strategy.
You know, and it's been amazing. So pink, very much a big trend thing this year. Whether the brands thought it was a trend or not, it kind of happened to be
Yeah,
that
it
way.
was here. And somebody like Seika, you want to make a cool pink watch for me to give away next year? Be my guest. Pink Alpinist, something like that.
Hey, we're taking recommendations. We're
Yeah.
looking at you, Nevada.
Right?
We are looking at you, Nevada.
Hey, you're getting on with everybody else.
Hit us up in the DMs. Let's do something. Let's collaborate.
Uh, and then lastly, my ideas kind of shifted towards notable releases because there were a lot of interesting things that dropped this year. I mean, I think every year you have a pretty good amount of cool stuff, but this year specifically, it was a lot of the big players I mean, you had certainly a weird year from Rolex, right? You had a lefty
Yeah.
GMT with green on it.
Weird is putting it mildly,
You
my
had a
friend.
50 millimeter.
More like an absent-minded year from
You had a
Rolex.
50 millimeter diver. Likewise, from Tudor, you had a Pelagos 39. You had a
Mhm.
Tudor Ranger come back.
Yep.
You had the Black Bay Pro,
Yeah.
right? Interesting year to say the least
Yeah.
from them, right? Then you have from Omega, first and foremost, the Moon Swatch, even though it's not purely Omega, the
Yeah.
Moon Swatch, which was an entire
Broke the
movement,
internet.
a
Broke the
movement
internet.
in itself, right? The Moon Swatch. Speaking of, there's a photo floating around of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I don't know who you know who that is. He plays for AC Milan.
He's a
He,
soccer player, right?
yeah, he was at one point. He
Yeah.
played for the LA Galaxy.
He has a Mars one, right? I think I saw a
Yes, he
photo
has
of.
the
Yeah.
mission to Mars. This dude was like the biggest striker in the world at one point, and he refers to himself as a god. He's like a very like vivacious,
Yeah.
bravado kind of guy. But he's it happens to also match his kit, like it's a black and red jersey, and he
Yeah.
has a black and red moon swatch. There's a picture of him like he's got big long flowing hair. He's a Swedish dude, and he's fixing his hair, and you can see it plain as day.
Yeah.
Mission to
Yeah.
Mars moon swatch.
It
I was
it,
like,
it
what? I was like, this dude is worth
it's
so much money.
I mean, yeah, I mean Ed Sheeran was playing a concert with the Moon Swatch. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like it became a cultural phenomenon for sure.
Yeah. So you had the moon swatch, you had the chrono chime,
Oh, I
you
love that
had,
watch.
like I
I
said,
love that
all
watch so
those
much.
all those neat gold models that they came out with. The what am I thinking of? The what was that other Speedmasters? The bicompacts.
Oh, the 57?
Nope, 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 nope. The one that's got all the chronoscope.
Oh, yeah, yeah, Chronoscope. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that was what I'm thinking of. So you have those, right? They gave you a bunch of interesting stuff. Um, I keep thinking Doxa Army. I keep
Yep.
thinking Seiko GMT was a big one for me. I mean, I know
That I
it's an
mean,
affordable hit, but like it's a hit.
no, it's a hit. I mean, how many brands have done GMTs just this year alone?
Yeah,
I mean, literally, Seiko changed the complication market for the next 5 years. I see a new GMT being launched every single day. Like just Traska, like last week came out with a
yeah,
GMT too. I'm like, okay, guys, like this is the year of the GMT.
yeah. I every time I finally saw a video of the AP Star Wheel, and that's such a cool watch. As much
Yeah,
as
that's a
I
that's a.
dislike the Code 1159, the Star Wheel is really, really, really cool.
But you know what's funny? I saw pictures of the original Star Wheel, and I actually still prefer that one
That's cool, man. I saw a picture of that too. That's a
with the
really, really cool look.
translucent discs. I
Yeah,
was like, that is sick. Okay, that is a cool freaking watch.
it is. I really, really like that
That's
watch.
that's a grail piece for sure.
Yeah, and then there was some neat like novelty stuff. You know, people like Moser putting out cool stuff. The Grand Seiko, what was it? The Kodo, I think it's called. That insane tourbillon watch.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
That was a watch. Was it Watches and Wonders
I
earlier
think
this year?
so. Yeah, I think so.
I can't remember,
I
man.
get
All
them
these
all confused.
all these years blend together.
Yeah, I just wait. They're just.
But you know what?
I got them on the calendar as meme fodder dates.
I was like, you know what? We're coming up. We only got a few short months away
That's
before we
right.
start entering the new watch season.
That's right.
Oh my god.
Scary but fun.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's like we're just like hitting the point. We're like, all right, guys, we're gonna hang up the boots for a little bit, and like, oh, we're right back into the new watch season. March
Yeah.
is a very
Yeah.
short period of time away.
And then just a couple of like the underlying themes of the year. Obviously, the 5711. It's almost like a movie. It's almost like the guy from Will Ferrell and Austin Powers when he plays Mustafa, and they keep trying to kill him, and he keeps coming back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we had that, and then obviously the pre-owned Rolex hubbub is a bit of a big deal. I mean, it's
Yeah.
for better or for worse, it's a big deal.
No, I mean it's certainly yeah, it's certainly a big deal.
Those
We
are two
talked about
things that
this all
stick
last week.
out
So
in my mind when I think of like the big news of the year. Um, yeah, I don't know what else. I just kind of tried to comb the old brain over the course of a
it's
few
been an
hours.
exciting year.
It has. It was a pretty eventful year.
It's and when you think about it in retrospect, there's been so many cool things that have happened, so many things that we thought would never happen. right? Like you mentioned a few of them. Talk about Moonswatch. Like what major Swiss brand would collaborate with a smaller, less important Swiss brand
To
and
produce
create
one of their more important watches
in
in
the
a
world, in
affordable version.
history?
Yeah, in
You know what I
affordable
mean?
version.
And to think that at one point in time that could have been a Blancpain is even more sobering. It's just kind
Right?
of like that's crazy. What a miss that might have been,
Yeah.
you know? But you think about something like that. You think about Rolex doing a left-hand drive watch and just literally telling all their fanboys to say, "Hey, you know what? Shut up and give us your money because you know you're waiting in line to get one anyway." And then for them to one up themselves by releasing a 50 millimeter commercially available dive watch at $26,000.
Yeah, I almost think it was like a year for them to put out stuff that's like going to be future collectible
Yeah,
for like awkward
because
reasons. Yeah.
nobody's buying those two watches because they really enjoy them. They're buying them because they know that these are novelty, future collectible pieces. The RLX Titanium Deep Sea Challenge is quite literally unwearable. We've talked about this. There's not a single wrist shot that I have ever seen of a person wearing this watch that looks natural. Not to mention, it has one of the largest chapter rings of any watch I've ever seen in the world.
It's honking.
It's a big watch, and I get it. You had to one up Omega. I get it. But I think Omega still put one over on you in terms of comfort and wearability. Yeah, maybe they didn't drop the 15,000 meter rated version because that was unwearable in its prototype form. But they split the difference and gave you something that you could actually wear with the lug to lug distance. That's not insane. I can't say that about the RLX Titanium. But again, all the guys that are taking allocations of these watches and buying them from the 80s, they're buying them as future investments because they know that this watch is probably not going to be produced for too long. It's a novelty. It's the first Rolex watch in full titanium. There's so many things that are unique about it. And same thing with the LHD GMT Master, a complete just slap in the face to me in the collectors. But this has been a year of that. It's been a year of weird stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, again, did you think Christopher Ward would make a chime watch? Did you think Omega would make a chime
No,
watch?
certainly not.
Never. I would have never thought that. We also
Certainly not.
talked about this off air too. This was also a big year for gem set bezels.
Yes, that was another one that I had written down.
I mean, like everyone and their mother was doing gem set bezels. Ulysse Nardin, we had Omega doing it with the 60th anniversary. Apparently, there's gem set Speedmasters. Did you see this?
No.
There was like a private slew of solid gold Speedmasters that are featuring gem set bezels. There's a rainbow version one. There is a blue sapphire, red ruby, all these different versions, but they're gem sets. And I think that they were not really designed to be like, oh, this is a watch that we're releasing. It's more like a collector to collector type thing where they released it kind of in secret. So that happened, but apparently it was launched around the time that the Chronochime came out, and I didn't even know about it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I saw some guy posted on social a few weeks ago and had to DM him like, "What is this watch?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's from this time period. We got to meet with Omega, and this is the first one in the U.S." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." It's like a cool $150,000, no big deal.
Yeah. Light work.
Light work.
So that's pretty much all I got. I guess we'll probably do something 2023-ish coming up soon. I thought just a recap would be good to get it in before the holidays hit, before we get that little lull. Because I know everybody's it's a little hard for everybody to keep up with, the pods and everything. We'll still drop an episode, but I know you probably miss an episode here or there with traveling or spending time with family or just kind of recharging the batteries. I unplug for a little bit. So if we don't hear from you, we want to hold it against you. If you want to catch up in the new year, that's fine. But we'll probably be dropping one of those two as well. But for now, just a little post-mortem before it ended from your boys over at Rich Cheese Radio. We'll catch you next week. Schmitty, adios.
Take care, guys.